the dangerous, and fuck you, the licensing lie. Good morning, Charles Van Morgan, as we look at the beautiful American flag. It's the Charles Van Morgan Show. We're going to talk this morning about how they license the dangerous and they block you. So it's sprinkling a little bit, but it's not lightning. It won't kill us. A exciting show today. We're going to talk about the fake fraud licensing schemes that they use in the state of Tennessee and all across America to defraud you and benefit them. The fake licensing scheme that affects all Tennesseans, all Americans. They give licenses to the deadly people that are very dangerous, and they refuse to license you, the mass populace of Tennesseans. They use the licensing scheme as a protectionist of the elite pipeline. And we're going to talk about that this morning and spell it out for you with facts and evidence. Unheard of news. So if you like what you hear so far, subscribe to the channel and like and help us get this message out. We're going to expose some crooked, dirty stuff that goes on in the state of Tennessee. The reason why you can't get anywhere. Now they tell you I'm boo-hoo, teaching socialism, and there we go. Thank you. Teaching socialism, and that if you work hard enough, you can get wherever you want. And I'm telling you that you can work hard enough, and they steal your time, your effort, your money, take it, and you get nothing a lot of times, and they don't do anything substantially to deserve it. And a lot of times they're dangerous, and there is information out there that tells you that they're dangerous, and they get licensed while they're dangerous. Now, licensing schemes are supposedly, if they were used right, a good thing. Licensing is used to make sure that the mass populace of Tennesseans, that the public, including them, are not damaged by someone in a profession that doesn't know how to do their job, or for whatever reason that's dangerous to the public. So before you get a license to practice a profession, you have to show that you're competent at a minimum level in the profession, not a great expert or brilliant in it, just that you're competent, that you're not dangerous to society in a way that they can point out, hey, we shouldn't give them a license. And this is the reason why, because if they practice this profession, they are dangerous to the public. So they have to correct their deficiency, and then when they do that, we'll give them a license. And that's the way a licensing scheme should be. And people that are dangerous, there are warning signs, or you give them an appropriate test to show that they know how to do the job at a minimum level, not an expert level, just a minimum level, the basic minimum standards to protect the public. Then if they pass that minimum qualifications, then you give them a license. It don't mean they're perfect. It means they're not substantially dangerous to the public. And then you give them a license. That's a licensing scheme built to protect the mass populace of Tennesseans. And that makes sense. But I'm here to tell you today, in case you were deceived, and a lot of you aren't either, that's not what they do with the licensing schemes. They use the licensing schemes, and I'll show you facts and evidence. The worst possible danger that you could articulate is when someone licensed kills more than one, a lot. And they know, they have evidence to show that, hey, this profession, this company may be dangerous, and they license them anyway. They license them anyway. And then you're expert level in your profession. You're the best of the best. according to test scores, according to job performance, what really matters. And they refuse to give you your license. And that's what they do in the state of Tennessee, all across the board. I'm not talking about myself, I'm talking about barber license. If you can cut hair minimum standard and not butcher people, you know, accidentally cut their throat, show a minimum level of competence. Maybe people aren't happy with the haircut, but you didn't damage them. And people have a choice whether or not to go back, but you meet a minimum standard of low-level training, then they should give you your damn license. But not in Tennessee. All across the board, I know for a fact, licensing schemes, and they're schemes, criminal schemes to that level, you could argue, and I am, that they're designed to give dangerous people license at the highest level of danger, and I'll explain it to you with facts, and designed to keep expert level people that are the highest in the profession, the best of the best, the most honest and more than just honest, you can be honestly wrong, honestly right, and they deny licenses to make a living and hoard that for the dangerous. That's not just talk. We're going to show you them doing that in real life time, in real live action, really deadly for the mass populace Tennesseans. Now, yeah, let us know you're here. Let us know you're here, Horses Platoon. So, the loud pipes. So let's see how many people we got in here. Yeah, we got quite a few. So the licensing schemes, almost 200 already. The licensing schemes are schemes, criminal schemes in the state of Tennessee, I believe. Deadly criminal schemes. They license people who are deadly. You think I'm just talking? I'm telling you. They license people who are dangerous to you. So if you go in a business or a government facility and you see they've got license or they're appointed by the government, so they must be damn safe. Think again. Watch your step. You know, look overhead, look around, be careful. Or a commissioned police officer that's licensed by the state through their academies. They're licensed. They will protect you. They know how. They passed a minimum standard of proficiency in firearms, and they know the Constitution. Look at all the law enforcement running around beating the hell out of people for saying, "Excuse me, officer, with all politeness and due respect, I disagree with you," and see what happens. But their license, they do right, and they even use the licenses as a banner of respect to show the public, hey, we're licensed, we're good, when they're dirty rats. They're dirty rats. The licensing scheme this morning, it affects your livelihood. They do it dirty. They do it dirty. They don't do it to protect the public. They use licensing schemes for a pipeline for them. They're in the pipeline. The elite, powerful people are in the pipeline. They get a license no matter what. They can kill 16 people and they're licensed. And there's evidence ahead of time to show that they're dangerous, and they will still license these people in government power. It's dangerous to you. You need to listen to this. And people who are safe, who can do the job, not just at a minimum level, and you may know one of your family or friends that have been in this situation, all across the state of Tennessee, all across America, in other countries, people that are safe, people that are at even expert level. And you know, people that might pass the minimum standards, they can do the job. Maybe they're not great at it, but they're not a danger to people. People can decide whether or not they hire them or not. But that's not the government's business. They stick their head into that and deny people ability to make a living all across the United States, the mass populace, and hoard jobs to the unprofessional, malfeasant, dirty, crooked liars. For the main reason is to stay in power. Because if you point out, hey, This person that you license is dangerous as hell. Please look at their license, review them, take notice of what they're doing. They're dangerous to people. You pointed out with facts and evidence. They don't take the license from the person you pointed out with evidence that's dangerous. They'll never give you a license because it's about them. It's not about safety and protection of the public. And they deceptively use licensing schemes and their criminal licensing schemes to protect the power elite. They're in the pipeline of the powerful, and once they get in that pipeline, they're connected, then they get a license no matter damn what. And that's the way it is. And some of them, I might quietly hint, now I am not running down churches. You should go to church. You should worship and praise the Lord. Amen to that. I say that with all sincerity and honesty. But I would be remiss if I told you that all churches are honest. Some of them, let's get across the street here. Wow, almost 300 people. Some of them back up the power elite. And they say that they stay out of politics, but they don't. They don't. They are in politics over their head, a mile high, backing up the people in power because they wrongly think that's their job to back up the government. And it's not. It's their job to spread the gospel of Jesus Christ. And they can be in politics if they want to. That's fine. I'm not against churches being in politics. But what I'm against is when they pick a side and preach that message one side to their audience. And that's what they do to you and me and everybody. A lot of churches across America, across the state of Tennessee. And they are heavily involved in Tennessee elections, and they affect our livelihoods because they are protecting, insulating the pipeline. If they're in that pipeline, the church, a lot of them, and I'm not speaking about the message of Jesus Christ. This is not against that message. I think they should facilitate the message of Jesus Christ. This is against wrong that they put inside the church. That's not right. That keeps the pipeline insulated, protected, because it's the power of God. According to some churches, the government is the power of God. And no, it's not. No, it's not. God is in heaven, and he sees the wickedness of people on the earth. And the government in the state of Tennessee, ran by alleged Christian governor, and I'll say it, God's not going to punish me because I'm not speaking against the Lord Jesus Christ. I serve the Lord Jesus Christ. That's why I'm saying what I'm saying. The government in the state of Tennessee is not God, and the church should stop picking a side because they pick the side of people that are in the pipeline, promote that. And that's not the gospel of Jesus Christ. I'm not against them being in politics, and I have had churches to speak reasonably about me, but a lot of them have not, on the pretext, a pretext is false sometimes, of saying we stay out of politics, but won't mention my name, and sure they mention the Lord Jesus Christ, and they should, that's what they're there for. That's the focus. But they will mention the names of other politicians in power, and it is not just because they're in power and they're recognizing their authority. It is because they're picking a side, because the side of the church ought to be the truth. And a lot of churches across Tennessee, it is not. And that's one reason, one main reason why in the Bible Belt in Tennessee, these wicked people in these dirty licensing schemes have the power and the symbol of the cross behind them, and you think the government is God, and their licensing schemes are true and right, and they're not. Church, let me tell you, and God's not going to judge me for saying this. I mean, people think, oh, you're speaking against God. No, I'm not. I'm afraid of God. I'm not afraid of people in the church, in the flesh, in the United States of America, in the state of Tennessee, because they're not right about this. They want you to get your heart right. Maybe they need to get their heart right. And I'm not preaching against the church. Go to church. Be aware when they mention some public official, they have them come speak before their church, and they're saying they're not involved in politics. They are. They are. They just had somebody that they mention by name, or they honor in surreptitious ways people in public power right now, and protect the pipeline for them, insulate it from public scrutiny, saying if you scrutinize the people in public power that are denying people a livelihood all across Tennessee and giving themselves and their friends and their family the licensings that are deadly to people, if you speak against that, you're going against the authority of God. No, you are. You are. All my fingers are pointed at you. And a lot of that, the responsibility of the church. So either be fair and present everybody that's on the ballot, that's running, or stay out of politics like you claim you do. Don't lie to people. Don't lie to people. The church is lying to a lot of people. And they do the church. It's not the church that spreads the gospel of Jesus Christ. That's the real church. The church is involved in a lot of wrong, a lot of corruption involving backing up people in the licensing schemes. That's not even good for them. Some of them are so stupid. Your congregation's not going to have money to pay tithes. They're not going to have any tithes to pay because you're protecting public wickedness. Out of the church of the Almighty God, the living Savior, Jesus Christ, you're protecting the powerful, going against exactly what Jesus said. If you think I'm lying, read the Bible. It's not protectionism of people in power. The Bible, Jesus Christ, spoke about protecting the weak and less powerful, the people that ain't in the pipeline that the church is protecting. That's wicked as hell. Wicked as hell from the church of the Almighty God. That's not preaching God's message. That is helping yourself. Of course it helps the pastor or the priest or who's ever in power at a church to speak highly of public officials. And when they do right, have at it. It's very clear when they do right. When they help the poor and needy, when they adjudicate fairly against the fatherless or the stranger, when they protect people, have at it. That is right. That's the message Jesus taught. When you protect the people in power, when you protect Caesar and his wickedness, his illegitimate taxes, his illegitimate licensing scheme, you're not preaching the message of Jesus. You're preaching the exact opposite. You're backing up the power for your damn self. For your damn self. And God's not going to judge me for pointing that out. I literally had a pastor call me. Actually, he was too good to call me. He sent me an email to call him. He was too good to call me. I had to call him. Now, if it had been the governor or somebody with $1 million running for public office, oh, he'd have called them. Had to wait in line, maybe never got to talk to him. But somebody low on the totem pole, you know, a great American that loves the flag, that is well qualified, more qualified than anybody on the ballot, that's not up in the dirty parties, oh, you got to call him. You know, they flip the script a little bit. I know what they're doing. Read between the lines. What you think they're doing, hell yeah, they're doing it. They're guilty as hell. So a church pastor has me call him, sends me an email, because he's seen my hard work and dedication. He's seen a political sign I had put out. So he sends me an email and asks me to call him, because he's not going to call me. I'm not good enough for him in the Church of Jesus Christ. Fortunately enough, I'm good enough for Jesus Christ, because I ask him to forgive me and come into my heart. But not in the church's eyes. You got to worship them and the power elite that they insulate, that a lot of them are part of. They're in that pipeline too. Their sons and their daughters at these big churches are in that pipeline. Of course they want to back it up because it's for them. The real church is for the poor and the needy and the sick and afflicted. The real church preaches Jesus Christ's message, that it's harder for those rich people to become a Christian. They don't have to depend on God. They got the money, and that money speaks volumes. That's the God. It's about the money. So yeah, thank you. It's about the money, and the church has gotten involved in that. If you think I'm preaching heresy, hey, even in the Bible, read the scripture in the last days, perilous times will come. People are lovers of themselves. And it even talks about the church being lukewarm. They're not preaching the message of Jesus Christ in a lot of them. They're preaching the message of the God of this world, which is the government, people in power. And if you criticize them, how dare you? We're here to insulate them. No, you're not. You're doing wrong and you're going to pay for it. I'm just giving you a warning. Either get into politics all the way and be completely fair across the board, which is, I believe, what you should do. What you should do, be fair across the board. How about independent candidates? How about all the candidates? Give all the candidates mention and recognition and respect for even getting on the ballot, trying. Even give campaigners, people that are involved in politics, respect due, unless they're going against a fundamental principle of your Christian church, which some of them do. But otherwise, have respect for all of them as far as you can. But they don't do that. They respect the people in the pipeline, the power elite, and they are a lot lukewarm and they do a lot of damage to the mass populace of Tennesseans. That's just a warning. So the pipeline, licensing pipeline, is for them and they're dangerous, not you. And the government and the church protects that pipeline. A lot of them do. A lot of them do. The church needs to be out of politics completely. Don't mention any of them's name and call them out when they're wrong, or be fair across the board. Have independent candidates, not just the people in power, not just Marsha Blackburn you, not just Fritz that says he don't take money from sources that he shouldn't when he does, and not just the other candidate, John Rose, that may have gave one to a minor that he's now married to. So I'm just saying, I'm just speaking the truth. And the truth is the power. You all are the power. And we need to bust that pipeline open. So we're going to talk today about the pipeline of the licensing scheme. And it's a criminal scheme all across the state of Tennessee, all across America. They license them, give them license to work. We're talking about your ability to make a living. It's rigged in their favor. And we're going to talk about, not everybody in government power is crooked. We're going to talk about some people at the highest levels call it out for what it is. Now, they just apply it to them, but I'm going to speak the exact words, quote verbatim, of some of the people high in power in the government, what they have said about, I think it applies to the licensing schemes, and it does, because the media, the church, all of these people with a voice, except Charles Van Morgan, speak in favor of these people in power so that they can license the dangerous and not give you a means to make a living. Now, there are some exceptions. Sure, people fly below the radar and get licensed. But you make not the mistake, you do the right thing and stand up against these people in power that are dangerous, and you'll lose your license, not for doing something dangerous, because you don't protect the pipeline. You may have been licensed. You better fly right and obey them while they're killing your friends and family with a license. And if you pointed out they're dangerous and go against the power elite, then you won't be licensed anymore. So the sacrifice, a lot of times, of being licensed is be blinded. You know, keep your eyes closed and go do whatever the hell they tell you and back up the government like a lot of churches do in the state of Tennessee. But I'm not going to do that, because that's not right. That is wrong. And that's not the message that Jesus Christ spoke about. Jesus Christ spoke about the message of helping the poor and the fatherless and the less powerful, you know, people outside the pipeline. That the church substantially is not doing that in the state of Tennessee. You know how I know that? Look at the people in power. They're in the pipeline. Look at the people they're licensing that are killing a lot of people, and they know. And I'm going to show you facts with evidence and put this stuff out. Now, they won't do that. They run interference. they have a facade and they cover it up. You can have people dead, laying all over the place that are licensed by people in power, and they show up to be the hero, that they weren't part of any of that, that they're part of the cure. They're great politicians, boy, I'm telling you that, man. You know, somebody they licensed that they knew was dangerous. I mean, they had evidence of that. That's why you wouldn't license somebody, because you have evidence that they're dangerous to the public, so you don't give them a license. You certainly don't give them public contracts. And at the state level, the federal level, promote them, shake hands with the owner. You do if they're in the crooked pipeline. It doesn't matter what they do. If they're in a pipeline, they get a license, they get money, they make a living. If you're not in the pipeline, like me or you or the mass populous Tennesseans, all across the state of Tennessee, all across America, even all across the world, is your country like that too? If you're safe for the public, they won't give you a license a lot of times. They give it to their people that worship and praise them. And everybody and their brother is behind something that's so very dangerous to you. To hell with their crooked criminal licensing schemes. And I'm not just talking about me. I'm talking about haircutters, builders. You want a builder's license? You got to go through Governor Bill Lee and his licensing apparatus designed to eliminate you and give it to people who the house will fall down and kill people, and he'll be there saying he was protecting you while he's the one that handed him a license because they handed him money. Now that's the way that doesn't work. It works for him, but it doesn't work for you. And we're going to tell you a bunch of examples of the crooked licensing scheme. A lot of people in great power in the state of Tennessee, backed up by a lot of churches, are behind this. So that man from a church, I called him. Of course, he wouldn't call me. I had to call him because he's better than me. He's a pastor protecting the status quo, being in the damn governor's mansion, helped the governor get elected. So I'm running. He sees one of my signs and emails me to call him. Why couldn't he call me? Oh, he's better than me. And he wanted me to call him so he could figure out, get something on me, interrogate me, to run me down because I'm not in the pipeline. And he is at the time. Albeit later on, God works in mysterious ways. The governor kicked him out of the mansion. So then he's endorsing another candidate that lies. A Baptist preacher wants me to call him. He won't call me. And he didn't ask one thing about my soul. Wasn't worried about that. So a Christian pastor, allegedly, saw one of my signs, sends me an email for me to call him. Why can't he call me? He's got my number, it's everywhere. Or at least email me and say, email me your phone number, I'd like to call you. What time's good for you? No, he wanted me to call him. And for the purpose of getting evidence against me, cross-examine me for the power elite, to protect the power elite against me when he's the one dangerous in the governor's mansion at the time. So I call him, and it was during the COVID thing, and he wants to know what church I go to, and I told him. And he wants to know who the pastor was. And we had just changed pastors, and it was during COVID, and the church was closed down, so I didn't know right off the top of my head who the pastor was, and I explained that to him. And when I didn't know the pastor, boy, he jumped all on that. He jumped all over that because he was alleging I was a liar, that I wasn't a Christian because I wasn't going to church, and I wasn't. It was during COVID. My church was closed down, but he didn't care about that. He wasn't in it to ask me about my soul. You know, I mean, that's what church for, right? Some of them ain't. He was in it to run interference for the governor, to find out what he could find out to use against me. Well, hey, anybody that's been listening to my channel, you know me. Hey, I gave him a lot of stuff that he can try to use against me. Because quite frankly, I told him to hell off. Somebody wants me to call them to interrogate me, to try to find stuff against me. A Christian pastor that don't ask me one time about my soul. I mean, really? Is that a Christian church for the gospel of Jesus Christ? Or like a lot of them, a Christian church for the political elite to insulate them? That's what they do, I'm telling you. And if you're that kind of church, you better change. It might fly good with people in power. You might get what you want on this earth, but you're not serving Jesus. Jesus wasn't out for the powerful. They can take care of their damn self. He's out for the poor and the needy and the sick and the afflicted. Read the book of Psalms. It ain't a praise for the powerful. It is a cry to God for the weak and less powerful, the people that ain't in power in the government. So what the hell are you doing? Helping hell? I think so. Spread the gospel. Get in politics or get out. So I gave him once more. I told him what I thought about his pathetic stuff, and told him how dare he have me call him to interrogate me using stuff that didn't even matter. I couldn't go to church. We'd changed pastors because of COVID, but that didn't matter. That wasn't what the phone call was for. Not even caring about my soul. So I told him off. I quoted promises in the Bible that I didn't have a dad, that I wasn't in power, and how dare he have me call him and run me down, use it as interrogation, not even care about my soul, question me about who my pastor was when I explained to him that we had changed pastors. I didn't know his name off the top of my head, hadn't been in a while because the church was closed down. That didn't matter to him. What he was calling about was run interference for Governor Bill Lee to run me down. Now, he didn't think I was going to win, but they try to step on you just for running and speaking out against the government. A lot of churches will do that. They try to step on you. Not all of them. A lot of them will, because you're running against the government. And their job is to protect the power elite. They tell you it's to spread the gospel. Then why are they protecting the power elite? Why ain't they getting people on the outside and speaking about them unless they're going against fundamental principles of the Bible? Why not a Christian independent that says that they're a follower of Jesus? Oh, they won't mention me because I'm not in the pipeline, the licensing pipeline. That's crooked as hell. Churches, some of them, crooked as hell. Proclaim, I'm not in politics, we're not in politics. We don't do politics at church. Then why do you mention the power elite? Why do you talk about Governor Bill Lee like he's a damn saint when he's over the crooked licensing scheme? He's in the pipeline, and you protect him while he's protecting the pipeline and putting your people in your audience, your Christian service people, out of work. They can't even pay tithes because of the damn rats that you're protecting in the church. Stop doing that. You don't have to worry about me. God's going to judge you. So that Christian pastor was in the governor's mansion several times. I warned him, God has promises for the less powerful. God has promises for the weak. Not promises to Governor Bill Lee. He's got money and connections and in a pipeline insulated by a lot of churches. That's what he's got. That's what he's got. So you think I'm funny? Star Company LLC. So he's got a lot of protection from the church, Bill Lee. He don't need the church's protection. He needs to be held accountable. You read the book of Psalms, it's not about the powerful and praising the powerful, how they do right. It's about the powerful, even David, committing atrocious acts while they're in power. That's what the Christian gospel's about. A check on the power and a help on the poor and less powerful. But they flip the script because that doesn't serve them. It serves them to protect the powerful with resources and money. Then they help the church spread their message of Jesus Christ. Really? A little bit of hypocrisy Not all churches, a lot of them. They're more and more getting infiltrated with that. We're not in politics. Then why are you, is my question. Then why aren't you fair across the board? Because you're in politics over your head. You're drowning in it. You just don't want to say that you are because you know it's wrong. If you're in politics, I hope you are. Good, you need to be. Protect people like me that want to protect your right to spread the gospel of Jesus Christ. It is not your right to hang a sign out and a cross and protect people in government power that trash your members of your church and keep them out of work with their crooked licensing schemes. That's crooked as hell, and use the gospel to do that? That you're good and righteous and God's behind that? No, he's not. No, he's not. And I'm looking around, and it's even sprinkling. I don't see any lightning hit me for speaking against churches that are involved in politics, backing up the power elite, when that's not the gospel, and that's not what Jesus proclaimed. He proclaimed the exact opposite, backing up the poor and needy, the sick and afflicted, the unjust judge to fight against the unjust judge. So, we're going to show you the evidence and talk about the truth. The licensing schemes in the crooked state of Tennessee, made to unlicensed, defraud, steal from you the mass populace of Tennesseans and Americans. They steal your time, they steal your money, they steal your effort, they steal your education, they steal your hard work, refuse to allow you to make a living, benefit off your training. They get money while you're going through training. But while you want to compete with them and get a business license, they deny you and license people who are dangerous as hell. Now, people think I'm speaking for socialism because I want to give to the have-nots and take from the haves. And no, I am teaching against socialism, not for it. I'm teaching to take and preaching at the top of my lungs against the church that claims it's not in politics, that is, a lot of them, not all of them. And teaching against socialism. And people think that socialism is a ploy of the poor to get what the rich have. And that's what they tell you to think. It's very popular to think that way. And I'll tell you, people who have made it all the way to the top of the scale by hard work, dedication, and they know and teach against the pipeline that is out there in the news media, and the crooks and the frauds that are in power at the top of organizations and the top of the government. What I am saying is, when I speak against socialism, and I'm not speaking against the poor. They don't get socialism for the most part. Pennies on the dollar compared to the socialist government that we have right now that gives billions in the form of cash, billions in the form of licensing to the rich and powerful that are dangerous. That's socialism in the other direction. So when they scream you're preaching socialism, scream, no, you are. You are. Because they're accusing us, the mass populace of Tennesseans, of wanting free stuff, of wanting a business license to be able to make a living. That's socialism. That we're asking for the right to make a living, which is a right in the state of Tennessee that they don't honor. But they make a living, and they're using the public danger. You're a public danger. So we're denying you your license, your law license, your haircutting license, your business license. And if it don't happen to you, keep your head down and focus on the grindstone and work for free for the government, and you might be able to keep your license. But if you're not in the pipeline, that's what you got to do. If you're in the pipeline, hell, you can wipe people off the planet, kill them, So dangerous. Obviously, they know before because you've killed before, but you're in the pipeline. They know you may kill some more. They hope it's not so devastating that it'll affect them. Why the hell they give you a license? Because they'll come and run interference for themselves, that we're here to protect you against them, that we gave them a license to. Now that's the way they do. And then you have, as I mentioned, the people, a lot of people back the power up. They insulate the pipeline, insulate the licensing scheme from their danger. Most everybody in that pipeline is dangerous. It's protected. They get a license no damn matter what. And everybody outside that pipeline may get a license. Probably not. And if you do, subject to default at their whim, and they'll bury you alive. They don't give a damn. If you go against them, and that's what the licensing scheme is about. It's not about public safety. You go get a license to drive a car, and they hand a lot of those out, I know. So you say, well, I've never been denied a license. Not yet, anyway. Not yet. If one of your friends or family members, and the people that they've given license to, are they a danger to you? Did they get it by socialism at the highest levels? Reverse socialism? I think so. That's what I'm telling you. Challenge your thinking. When they say something, look at it. Is it the opposite way of what they're saying? Are the poor getting defrauded and the rich getting socialism? No, I'm here to tell you. That's exactly what's happening in a hell of a lot of cases. And that's what Jesus Christ spoke against and for the people that aren't being licensed. So if you want me to speak in your church, I'm spreading the gospel, the message that Jesus Christ sent. If you want Bill Lee to speak in your church, or one of the popular candidates that they claim that has a small section of the electorate that's rigged elections, then you'll have them in your church or speak highly of them. So I was, in my life, I have a degree in this stuff. Sociology. You say they've messed up your mind telling you all these lies. No, they haven't. I don't buy everything they say. I've lived a life. I know how they do stuff. And you personally think back in your life about times where somebody else has got something that they shouldn't get. And it happens quite frequently. A lot. And so let's get across this road here. And it happens all the damn time. And a lot of it is the government. So you think back across your life how you've been treated unfair, even in business. Or maybe the government wasn't involved, but the business that you're at, that's licensed by the government, that ought to be concerned about their licenses for their hiring policies that put people in at work that shouldn't be there. They got promoted over you. So I can remember at the great University of Tennessee, and it is a great university, through life experience where I've learned a lot of stuff. It ain't from being manipulated by their education. It's from an education from reading all sides and life and statistics, circumstances that I didn't even live that other people have beyond my little circle. And boy, that's an ugly look. So beyond my little circle and of a lot of haters, I don't care. Beyond my little circle, what other people experience, and it lines up with what I'm saying. Now, it's not in the pipeline, it's not protected, but I'm saying it, it's protected by God Almighty. It's called the truth. I'm not bearing false witness. So when I was at the great University of Tennessee Police Department, now at that time I had a degree, an associate degree in business, and covered a lot of things, human resource management issues. And I tried to get a promotion to sergeant came up, but I didn't work day shift. Another man that was friends with the chief and another lieutenant at the University of Tennessee Police Department that didn't have any education, just friends, got in the pipeline, got connected without substantial amount of ability to protect the public, and got promoted over me. And the man that helped him get promoted was a dirtbag Keith Lambert. I call him Keith Lamebutt. So he went all the way from police officer to lieutenant, bypassed a well-qualified sergeant, female sergeant, to make a lieutenant. So they're promoting all their friends, not qualified people, even jumping steps themselves in promotions. Their little pipeline, and police officers, a profession that's licensed, and they shouldn't have been licensed themselves. They were found guilty in a federal court of law in front of a jury. Keith Lamebutt. Well, Keith Lamebutt, they worked out an agreement before the trial, I think. But the chief and Anthony Bowman and Bob Wyrick were found guilty. These are people high in the University of Tennessee Police Department. And this police department still run the same way. We're talking about the pipeline that I wasn't in. I was the son of a widow. My daddy wasn't in power. And I applied for a promotion, going through their procedure, getting a degree, education. I mean, it's an educational institution. You would think that they would honor an education. They honor it when they got it. When you got it, they put it under the jail. It's worse than worthless because it benefits you. It's worse than just not means nothing. It's bad against you because you've got something that's more powerful than them, so they try to annihilate it. They annihilate your good weapons that are designed to help you and the public. So he got promoted over me by the chief, who was found guilty of violating somebody's federal constitutional rights in federal court. Didn't lose his job, even a federal court adjudicated against him. Didn't lose his job. Still retired as police chief of the University of Tennessee. Chief Edward Yovella, convicted in federal court of a civil offense of violating somebody's federal constitutional rights and freedom of speech. So don't speak against them. That's what the licensing schemes are about. Even when they get found guilty at the federal level, that doesn't matter. They're in the pipeline. They're insulated substantially, even from attacks at the federal level that should devastate them. And just in the past few years, there was a police officer at the University of Tennessee. We're talking about their licensing schemes, licensing police officers, that was a gun magnet. Now, like we had in Utah, with Charlie Kirk getting shot at a university campus in Utah. Guns are a problem in the hands of people that shouldn't have one. And obviously somebody walking around campus with a high-powered rifle and a scope needs to be monitored on public property, and when they walk on school property, which is not allowed to have guns. Actually, it's allowed to have guns for people that are rogue, but you're not allowed to have guns on the property because you'll obey the law. So he was carrying a gun. So it's important to have a gun magnet like this officer. I won't mention his name, you don't want to. On university property. But he wasn't in the pipeline, the power elite, and he did his job, protected the public, got more guns off the University of Tennessee campus than probably in the history of the University of Tennessee Police Department. Now, I got a lot of guns off the streets too, illegal guns, from convicted felons. I stopped a car one night and got 7 guns, a high-powered rifle, some handguns, several shotguns and some gear that was designed to fight and possibly terroristic acts, and confiscated it. So, and this guy was on the University of Tennessee campus, and he made the chief mad by not going along. He followed orders, but he didn't agree to some of the things that they were doing, and spoke the truth. And you can't do that. You got to back up the power lead. That's what the licensing schemes are about. They're not about safety to the public. The licensing schemes are about insulating the pipeline, the power elite that are in that pipeline. You say anything about them that they shouldn't have their license, or that stuff's being done unfair, and it is, you speak the truth, they'll pull your license. That's what one of the control tactics that they have in the government. It's rogue, even protected by a lot of churches. So he was terminated. He lost his job. He was a gun magnet. Now the University of Tennessee sits over there. The leading police officer at the University of Tennessee took more guns off anybody in the history of the department, and that's important. Had he been in Utah, you probably wouldn't have a dead Charlie Kirk. He would have found the gun and got it and protected the public, as we are here. And wow, got a lot of people in here. So they fired him. They got rid of the police officer that, had he been in Utah on duty, history says he was more of a protection to the Charlie Kirk, the people that had to experience that killing of him, witnesses. He was more of a protection against that than any police officer at any university campus. They called him a gun magnet. He got guns off illegal people. Now, he didn't take guns off people that had a right to have them. He stood up against that. He wasn't against the Second Amendment. I've talked to him. He loves the Second Amendment. They had an incident where another officer took a gun off somebody illegitimately that had a right to have the gun. He stood up against it, told him, don't seize that gun. He's got a right to have it. It's against the Constitution. He's not on UT property. He didn't have it illegally. Let him keep his damn gun. This was a gun magnet. So he wasn't for taking guns away that are lawful. He was against their crooked licensing scheme that licensed people that were just trying to get a number, get a gun off the street to make themselves look good, when he was taking a gun off somebody that had a right to have it. So they took his job from him. So that a licensed police officer. So the licensing scheme is not to protect the public. The licensing scheme is designed to control people that are good, that are outside of their illegitimate control, because he was good for the public. So that's what they do with the licensing scheme. So if you're just joining, I'm Charles Van Morgan. Made it to our signature location in Tennessee. I'm broadcasting live, and I'm bringing you this special on the licensing lie. I'm going to show you how the system works against you and the mass populace of Tennesseans. Not opinion, documented facts, Supreme Court rulings, federal research, names and dates. Licensing is important. You have to have a license to perform a job in a lot of instances. You even have to have a license to be a waiter. So it's very important that you don't roguely get denied a license. Now they allege, like driver's license, that the licensing schemes are set up to not allow dangerous people to have a license to perform that function. and to allow people who are not dangerous to have that license. And we're talking about a means to make a living. So it is in our interest, the interest of the mass populace of Tennesseans, to get that right. Because I am bringing evidence that that is not what they do. They give license to people that are dangerous to you. And I'll show you cases. Very dangerous to you, deadly dangerous. Can't get any more dangerous than that. And deny license to hardworking people who are safe and effective in order to control money and power. Now that's what they do. And I'm going to show you why I'm fighting. Not because winning is guaranteed. It's not. They're very powerful people, backed up and insulated by powerful people, even churches and powerful people. And not all churches. Go to church and spread the gospel of Jesus Christ. And if you're involved in a church that's involved in politics, then be involved in politics fairly and not just insulate the powerful. Because the alternative to fighting is silence while they take everything from you. And that's what they're doing now. Your burden is their free ride, and they give you breadcrumbs. They'll license a few people. And here's the spine of this morning's show. One sentence. The people in power use government to protect themselves and burden everyone else. What you get is left over is crumbs. A few licenses here and there until they need the license you got and they take it from you. And I'm going to prove that this morning with documents, not rage, documents. Your burden, their free ride. That's what this show's about. So, AES, McEwen, Bucksnort, Tennessee. AES, Accurate Energetic Systems, got a license. They were licensed by Bill Lee's government. They were licensed by Bill Lee's government. So that's a licensing scheme. October 10th, 2025, Accurate Energy Systems near Buckshot, Tennessee explosion at 7:48 in the morning. 16 workers killed, 7 injured, no functioning sprinklers. Part of what licensing boards should have detected, refused to license them, it was an explosion plant, until they had sprinklers to protect the public. They didn't have sprinklers, they had a license. You at your organization has sprinklers, comparatively, symbolically so, won't get the damn license. They will. Why? Because you're not in the pipeline. They are. It's not about public safety. That's what they preach. We have to license for your safety. That's a lie, the licensing lie. Here's fact. No fire protection, but a license. 23,000 pounds of explosive material detonated and even blew the hell out of the license and killed 16 people with a license. But maybe you don't have a license. Other plants wouldn't have a license. And your friends and family may not have a license. And some of them are scared to death to go against the status quo or their license will be pulled, even telling the truth. It's because the licensing schemes are a lie. It's not about public protection. It certainly didn't protect 16 workers killed with the owner having a license. Why did the owner have a license? Because he got in the pipeline. That protected them and not you. Insulated by a lot of wicked people, including some churches that back up Mr. Governor Bill Lee, preach him, not Jesus, from the pulpit by refusing to allow other candidates that speak against him justifiably and honorably. How dare you speak against Jesus? I mean Bill Lee. Yeah, right. And I look around and I don't see lightning striking me because I'm not speaking against Jesus Christ. I'm speaking Jesus Christ's message of help and power to the weak and afflicted and the poor and needy, not the powerful. Jesus spoke against them. Get it right or stay out of politics. AES President John Soney was convicted in 2008 of a federal misdemeanor for misrepresenting a chemical mixture on U.S. Navy explosives. So licensing schemes are designed, according to them, to weed out me because I'm dangerous. No, They claim that they're designed to weed out dangerous people, to not let them have a license so that they can't endanger the public. Makes sense. Yes, I'm all for licensing. I'm not all for how they have it now, because if you have prior knowledge, the reason why they do backgrounds, they check stuff. If they have prior knowledge, prior evidence of you being dangerous, then they ought to make sure you correct that before they give you a damn license or help you maintain your license. So if in fact their licensing scheme was about public safety, if they had prior knowledge of a death, the most dangerous thing you can do in their facility, then they ought to check real hard and make sure changes have been made, fire extinguishers are there and working, before they give a license, if that's in fact what the licensing scheme is for, protection of you. So they knew Mr. John Sunday, Mr. Governor Bill Lee, was privy to that information, had prior conviction for a mixture of explosives sold to the military. So Mr. Sunday, although a misdemeanor crime involved a lot of money and fraud, sold a mixture of explosives to the U.S. Navy that didn't have the proper mixture in it. That was fraudulent. That wasn't effective weapon. So you have this man, this is fact, that had a license previously, had defrauded our soldiers. Now they're over in the straits of Hamas right now, our military, Navy. He sold weapons to the U.S. Navy explosives contract, and he misrepresented the chemical mixture where it wasn't explosive, I take it, or dangerous. And it wasn't what it was supposed to be. So they're over there fighting right now in the Straits of Hamas. And just think, if they have some of the explosive devices from John Sunday's licensed then explosive munition plant in Bucksnort, they wouldn't be able to defend themselves in the Straits of Hormuz right now. So he literally endangered our U.S. military personnel that are putting their lives on the line to protect the very factory that he defrauded them from. Wow! And Governor Bill Lee was privy to that information. He didn't care, because it's not about public safety. Let's just get it straight. It's not about public safety, it's about the pipeline. John Sunday was in their pipeline because he contributed to Governor Bill Lee's campaign and his wife thousands of dollars. So it's not about public safety, it's about helping the power elite, as dangerous as you may be, that they know of ahead of time. The federal government kept awarding contracts anyway. The state kept licensing them anyway. So he was convicted in 2008 of a federal misdemeanor for misrepresenting a chemical mixture on U.S. Navy explosives. Think about our Navy right now, in harm's way. I hope to the good Lord in heaven they don't have leftover munitions from the Bucksnort plant from the state of Tennessee. That ought to be embarrassing to the state of Tennessee. I didn't do it, wouldn't have done that. He has a license and you won't get them. So the federal government kept awarding him contracts, state licensing him anyway. A worker previously died from safety violation at the facility. They stayed licensed, even after they knew. What are the licensing for? Public safety? Hell no. For Governor Bill Lee, the Christian man, name proclaimed from churches, I guarantee you his name's come from the pulpit of churches all across the state of Tennessee that say they stay out of politics, that are insulating the pipeline, protecting dangerous people. And 16 more people died while they had a license. The Department of Defense signed a $120 million contract with AES on September 23rd, 2025, 16 days before the explosion. So they knew. This is not about public safety, the licensing. scheme, the licensing lie. They say it's about public safety. It's about the public benefiting and protecting their pipeline. If you're in the pipeline, you can be dangerous as hell. If you're outside their pipeline, you can be expert in your profession and they can deny you. If you try to expose a pipeline, 2 days after the explosion, Governor Bill Lee was on site October 12th. Now he has allowed this buck snort ammunition plant, knowing a convicted felon, a convicted misdemeanor that sold munitions unoperable to the Navy, was operating that plant, helped him get new contracts. And so he helped him get a license. So he showed up 2 days later, October 12th. He flew over the damage and held a press conference. He said, it's not funny, 16 people died, but he said, we always want to make sure facilities in this state are operating safely. What hypocrisy. It's sickening funny what he said. He should have said, we always want to make sure facilities in this state owners contribute to my campaign so we can allege that they're operating falsely so we get more money to insulate the pipeline. The Sondy family donated $16,000 to Bill Lee, documented. $16,600 to Bill Lee. They contributed that, him and his wife. That's how he got in the pipeline. Not because his munitions plant was safe. After the bodies were counted, Tennessee Occupational Safety and Health Administration issued 95 citations after, here's what happened. Governor Bill Lee knows of the convictions, knows of the death. He gives Bill Lee money, him and his wife, the owner. Bill Lee gives him a contract for money from your tax money, gives him a license after one person's already dead, then 16 more are dead. So Governor Bill Lee goes to the site to run interference for himself. And the largest in Tennessee history, they fined him $3 million after the fact. The money goes to the state treasury, not $1 to the family. So he goes to the site after the fact, after he's licensing, after 16 people are dead, to run interference, and then they fine him after the fact. They fine the company after the fact. Prior criminal conviction, prior worker death, licensed anyway, 16 more killed 16 days after, $121 DOD contract. Lee on site 2 days later to run interference for himself, to say, I'm not responsible for this. We're here and showing you we're going to find them and we provide for public safety after the fact. Running interference for himself. Trying to switch the narrative. Fines go to the state. You draw the inference. Documented citation record. CBS report 2026. Donate reporting, WBIR, October 12, 2025. Tennessee on October 17, 2025. So, they gave a license to people that were deadly, knowing previous death, and they control you. They tell you what to eat. They do not tell donors what to do, and they give them license. That's what they do in Tennessee. It's reverse socialism. So like, share, and comment. Hit the like button and share button if you want to help me get this message out. Contribute if you can. If you can't, hit the like button. It helps. It's like giving money. Nearly a dozen states adding SNAP restrictions. Now, people think I'm preaching socialism. I'm preaching socialism against socialism for the rich, because that's what's going on. There are reasons society needs to take care of little children and people that are handicapped, people that can't work. That's a principle in the Bible. Help the poor and the needy and sick and afflicted. Now the rich want to call it socialism. Hello? They want to call it socialism. But it's not socialism. It's a governmental responsibility to protect the public, the people that can't protect themselves. Do you want to make a 12-year-old go to work? A 10, 9, 8, 7-year-old? You want to stop unnecessary abortions? Provide food for an unwed mother. Babies are going to get here. That's a fact. One way or t'other. And as a civilized society, we need to provide food. The government does. And it's very little across the board. Not at the level of the dangerous contracts that they're awarding to people that can't help themselves. That's not socialism. That is a responsibility as a civilized society. Now, Republicans don't like to say that. They want to run me down as a socialist. I'm not socialist. They are socialists because they give money, free licenses to people that are dangerous. I just told you a case. To people that don't even need it, that are fine. So it's socialism in the opposite direction. So nearly a dozen states put no soda or candy on SNAP benefits to little children. A little child from a poor home in the projects didn't ask for it. It's completely innocent. I mean, you're going to hold them responsible to who their father and mother is, the circumstances they were born in, because their daddy wasn't awarded a license, and the contributor to Bill Lee's campaign was because they can't make a living. I mean, let's face it, not all things are fair, and we need to protect little children from the unfairness and stop the socialism to the rich and powerful. They're too fat, they're getting too much. So they tell a little child from the projects, from a poor background, that he can't have a soda. But Mr. Sondy's children had a dad that had a contract making millions of dollars from the state and the federal government, who is very dangerous. He buys his kids all the soda and candy the damn well heart desires. So you tell me where the socialism's at. That's crooked as hell. And that's just wrong. So if you tell me everything's fair and there's no need to fund little children, that we as a civilized society shouldn't give food stamps to poor little children and handicapped people that cannot work, they can't. And maybe they do, they just can't work enough to make a living, that as a civilized society we don't need to give them a Coke and a candy bar? I mean, are you that stupid or crooked? Is what one of our presidents said. Are you that stupid or crooked? Because we should. I mean, I'm not saying that people, well-bodied, able people to work, to feed them, sure, work requirements and all that. I get it. I'm for that. But it goes too far. When you starve out little children and call that all right, it is not all right. And in the church, with the Bible, they've been warned, back that up in the name of it's socialism, that's a bad thing. I mean, you go right ahead, you stand before God and explain that, because it's not explainable. You're either crooked or you're stupid. And I think it's a little bit of both. If you don't believe in giving a child a candy bar or a Coke, and you think that food stamps ought to dictate that when they hand a license over to somebody that's already killed, then you're pretty messed up in the head. And I don't care who you are. I've had friends that, oh man, you're wanting to give money to people that won't work. No, I'm not. You're wanting to starve little children out. Which one's the worst? if a person gets some food that's able to work, so be it. Try to eliminate that the best as possible. But in the name of that happening and to starve little children, you're a sick, pathetic individual. And you know where I'm at, karate professional, and anybody can say, I got a black belt, I got a black belt. I mean, you can go down to Kroger and get a black belt. Oh, I know how to fight. Where'd you get your black belt from? You signed it over to yourself. You know, the black belt comes when symbolically I thump you over the damn stupid head when you try to hurt me, which is what'll happen. I don't have a black belt. I got a expert capability in life's hard lessons growing out without having somebody, a daddy, to defend me. I fought my own battles and learned a lot. You can call it whatever belt you want to. It's about a belt about the light is green for me. I'm not waiting around to decide what to do. I'm going to hammer you. So I'm just saying. But and stand on starved little children now. That's pathetic. If you're here and you don't believe we ought to give food money from the government to little children and handicapped people and elderly people, you're a pathetic person. You're pathetic. That's not the civilized society that I agree with, and I won't agree with it. When you can prove to me that everything is fair across the board and people get licensed to work that aren't a danger to society, and people that are dangerous that shouldn't get a license get them anyway. When you can prove me that straightened out, then I'll say, sure, cut out the food stamps. But that's not the case. And we don't need to stand by and let little children and people starve to death. So you can be as dirty as you want to be. You're either crooked or stupid. And both, I think, and we'll show you some people in high power that say the same thing I'm saying. Not everybody in the damn government is as crooked as you are from the outside. So the administration calls it real food. They only let them eat real food. A Coke's real food. It'll get out in the desert and be sunburnt and ready to die from heat exhaustion. A Coca-Cola will keep you from dying. It's a real thirst quencher. So it is real food. Tennessee ranks second in the nation for occupational license burden, but they're second in denying licenses, making it more difficult for you to be able to earn your own food. But they find time to police what a poor mother buys at the grocery store. So they make it difficult for you to get a license. Make you go through all kinds of damn hoops to get a damn job, so you don't have to be on food stamps. You'll be on food stamps in this state. They won't let you work. A lot of times. I wouldn't come to Tennessee right now. It's crooked as hell. People running down California. Californians are laughing at Tennesseans. They think that we're bad. It's not a joke. Joke's on Tennesseans if you vote for these people in office. I'm just telling you the truth. The socialism is Tennessee at a horrific, horrible level, deadly level to the people in the pipeline, the powerful people, the people like Bill Lee, Bill Hasselman. Those are the ones that get socialism. I'm preaching against socialism. If you're for them, you're a socialist, because that's who's getting the jobs, and they don't have to have food stamps. They got the licenses to make a living. And they got time to burden you down with a licensing scheme and give them licenses that are deadly, and they got time to determine what a poor mother buys at a grocery store. They restrict what you buy, what children buy with food stamps. They do not restrict what a campaign donor does with an explosives contract. Now that's just the truth, like it or lump it. That's the truth. I'm anti-socialist. If you're embedded in the Republican Party in the state of Tennessee, you are a socialist. They love to call Democrats socialists, and they are. I wouldn't vote for them either. But when it comes to Republican, we're proud. We're not socialists. We're against them damn Democrat socialists. You're more socialist than they are. They believe in giving money to the poor. They don't believe in giving money to the rich, and they don't even give that much to the poor. You're worse than they are, much worse. You believe in giving billions DOD contracts, work contracts, other means to the wealthy. You're more socialist than the Democrats. You're either stupid or crooked. And a well-popular, I'm going to mention his name, Republican, I'll repeat his exact words. He's telling you the same damn thing that I'm telling you. These people in power in the Republican Party, high up at the top, some of the good ones are warning you about this. Hey, they're giving socialism free money, your tax money, to the rich, wealthy, in the form of licensings, the barter system, and stealing from the poor. At least Democrats don't want to steal from the poor. They think we ought to give money to the poor, and I do too. I absolutely do. There's nothing wrong with that. If you disagree with me, you're a dirtbag scum if you want to starve children out. That's just the way it is. Maybe I'm not a good politician. I'll just tell you the way it is. I still want your vote. But with your vote, if I get in the governor's office or get in public office, and it's about the fight, it's not about winning. I'd like to win. I can make it a better world, a better Tennessee. I'll give food stamp money to little children and allow them a Coca-Cola and a candy bar. I will do that. Damn Van. I mean, he's such a wicked person. Yeah, you go ahead. That's what I'm going to do. So if you're going to vote for me, I will take care of elderly people. I'll give them a candy bar and a Coke with food stamp money. Hell yes, I will. I'll do that dastardly deed. Well, you can give licenses to billionaires that kill 16 people off the planet. I mean, so whatever you want to call it, evil good and good evil. I won't give licenses to people that are dangerous as hell. But I'm a wicked, evil person. I'll give a candy bar to a child. What a mean person I am. That ain't even food. It'll save them from dehydration in the desert. It sure as hell is. I'd spend more time policing the billionaires and taking care of little children. And if you don't want to vote for me, hey, you be a fool. So, AES McEwen had $120 million Defense Department contract, signed 17 days before the explosion. And a kid can't have a candy bar, but they can have a license. 2 sets of rules, one for the poor, you, and the mass populous Tennesseans. I'm a populist person. I'm a person for the mass people in Tennessee. Outnumber them by far. That's the hope. I'm asking you to listen, consider. So they have one for the people writing the checks. This is not nutrition program. This is a boot on their neck of the poor. The club, how power stays in power. And this is how they keep their licensing lie facilitated wrongly by people in power. So yeah, thank you for the contribution, whoever gave that. And Greg Houts 2345, thank you, Greg. Hugh, I appreciate that. So yeah, give some more. Help us get the message out. So we're talking about 2 sets of rules. One for them, they're dangerous, they get a license. Talking about the fraud licensing scheme. It's about protecting the public. They say, no, it's not. It's about giving the dangerous licenses. And it's crooked as hell. How power stays in power. French sociologist Pierre Brandeau documented this decades ago. It's called social capital. Not just what you know, who vouches for you, which institutions you came from. And it's about, I'm not telling you not to get out and know people, try to get in the know, try to get social capital, try to get that. I'm telling you, they won't let you get that if you're one of the mass populous Tennesseans. You need to try, fight anyway. Who vouches for you? What institutions you come from? C. White Mills wrote, The Power Elite, in 1956, a small interconnected network recycling power among themselves, military, corporate, political. 70 years later, the pipeline runs the same way. So it's still working right now in effect. You don't have a damn chance. A lot of times to get a license, to make a living. Not because you're dangerous, because they say you're dangerous. When you're not, they're dangerous. So when you go in an office, corporation, government building, and these people have licenses, don't put your damn guard down. Don't go in the Buck Stewart plant You can't right now because it had a license, but it's dangerous as hell. So don't let your guard down just because of license. The Supreme Court clerkships. This is documented, accurate academic research taught in universities across America. Life lived, experienced. Y'all know what I'm talking about. The people in charge already know this. They count on you not knowing it. The club stays the club because most people never find out how the club works. This morning, you're finding out how the club works. The dangerous get licensed. That's fraud. And you don't a lot of times. And if you speak out against the dangerous, then you won't get a license either. It's about speaking the truth. You won't get a license. It's not about being dangerous. It's about being dangerous to them and speaking about their danger to you, if you get what I'm saying. It's real simple. It's real simple. It's not complicated. The dangerous protect the dangerous. The club stays the club because the people never find out how the club works. We're going to show you an example of how the club works. One already, AES, the clerkship pipeline. Clerk for a Supreme Court justice, your career is set. The Tennessee Attorney General just hired a new solicitor, Madeline Clark. She starts today. Smith, Scummit. I'm trying to say his name right. So he hired Madeline Clark. Today she goes to work for the Tennessee Attorney General's office, the one that's fighting me to keep my law license from me, and I'm here to protect you. I'm not dangerous to anybody, never have been. I've saved lives all across the state of Tennessee. Now that's not what they say. They won't give me a license because they say I'm dangerous while they blow 16 people off the planet. I've never killed anybody. Saved lives, hundreds of lives. So Madeline Clark starts today, the Supreme Clerk for Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas and Amy Coney Barrett. So Madeline Clark for Clarence Thomas, a good Supreme Court Justice. Amy Coney Barrett. Now, President Trump called her a lapdog, called her a crony for the power elite, a lapdog. Justice Coney Barrett, because she ruled against him in a case involving the tariffs. And I think it's about damn time somebody speaks up against the dirty judiciary in the state of Tennessee, in the United States Supreme Court, that are given God status. They're human beings, and when they do wrong, they need to be called out for it. They have passed federal laws and approved of federal laws that are devastating to the United States of America, cause God's judgment to be on the United States through the Supreme Court justices, and admitted later in other overturning that they're wrong. So they make mistakes, they ought to be called out. They're not God, and we have a president that will call them out. Thank the good Lord in heaven. That's never happened in the history of the United States. That's a good thing. Hold them accountable. Holding people accountable is not wicked. That's a good thing. The fact that it's never been done is the problem, and that's what I'm doing. I'm holding people accountable. I'm doing God's work. Is what I pray and ask God to lead me, and that's what I'm here for. So her career is set because she clerked for Supreme Court justices. That's not a criticism, Madeline Clark personally. That is a description of how the system works. The right school, the right clerkship, the right network you're in, everyone else fights for scraps. The vast majority of Tennesseans do not go to Harvard or Yale. They went to state schools, community college, trade programs, or they built something with their hands. The people making decisions about their lives came up through a pipeline most Tennesseans never have access to. So I'm talking to you, the mass populace of Tennesseans. You don't have access to that pipeline. You're either the insulation on the outside or the way outside or under the damn jail. This is not merit, this is a club, and the club decides who gets justice and who gets crumbs. Or nothing, or taking away what they've earned or given to them. They take away what you've got and give it to them. Supreme Court in North Carolina Dental versus FTC in 2015, the Supreme Court proved what I'm saying. In 2015, the United States Supreme Court ruled 6-3. North Carolina dentists used their own licensing board to drive out cheaper competitors with 47 cease and desist letters. The competitors were doing the work competently, possibly better, definitely cheaper. 6 Supreme Court justices said that it was illegal. The people running the board were the same people competing in the market. They used government power to eliminate competition. Justice Kennedy wrote, when a state empowers active market participants to decide who can participate in their market, the need for supervision is manifest. So they're having these licensing boards, like the dentist, that license other people that do the same work. They have an interest in denying license to stop competition. If you have a business and you're over giving business license and you own a bed store and you're over giving out licenses for bed stores, and a bed store wants to open up across the street from you to be in competition with you, you have an interest in saying, I'm going to deny your license because you got bed bugs on your beds. Even though they don't, but you don't want them out there. You don't want them out there. There's a fan. You don't want them out there in competition selling beds because they'll cut down on the people that come into your store. So you deny them license. It's a licensing scheme, and they lie. Say you have bed bugs and you don't in your store. And that's what the Supreme Court said, that people already in the profession that are handing out license have an interest in denying license for illegitimate purposes, not about public safety. And they adjudicated in that case that the people that worked on cleaning people's teeth had a right to get licensed. So he's letting me know he's here, and they do. It's a licensing scheme by the powerful to protect the powerful, and that's what they do. And let me give a little thank you to Greg, and that's what they do. They protect the powerful and abuse and mistreat you, the mass populace of Tennesseans. It's crooked as hell. The Tennessee Supreme Court said that. Tennessee licensing burden, second worst in America. They call it protection. And it's not protection, it's dangerous. In 2025, Tennessee ranked number 2 in the entire country for occupational licensing burden. They put all kinds of hurdles in your way in order for you to get a license to go to work, and allege that you're dangerous. They got to deny you license and give the license to people that they know that benefit them in their campaigns. The licensing lie. It's not for public safety. It's to insulate the pipeline and to give their license to people inside the pipeline. It's a fraud. So we're behind only Oregon. So we're second in the nation in putting restrictions on people. Archibald Institute State Occupational Licensing Index said we're second in the nation in putting burdens on people to get a license to work. And then they have to be on food stamps, and we don't want to let them have a damn Coke. Well, then give them their damn license. Research estimates Tennessee license requirements block approximately 15,000 Tennesseans, and it's more than that, from accessing good jobs every year. You could be more qualified than the person already inside. You can pass the test, you can do the work better and cheaper. It does not matter if the insiders control the door. Now, I know a lady who was a sleep technician under Phil Bredeson's time in the governor's office. Democrats and Republicans do it both. In the 2008 recession, the state passed a law to give you more hurdles that you had to cross in order to get licensed to be a sleep tech. She'd already been doing that for years, already licensed, approved. During the recession, they need more of their insiders to have a job, so they get rid of sleep techs to have more requirements to give their license to people that they know to give a job during the recession. And she lost her job during the recession under Phil Bredesen. She wrote him a letter, told him, hey, this new law you passed is putting me out of work. And there's nothing in it for people who should be grandfathered in, that are already doing it safely. But no, we're going to risk giving license to dangerous people that we don't know about and take people who've been doing it for years off the job. Under Bredesen. Bredesen wrote an nice letter, we're so sorry, and we know, yeah, do something about it. I know a man, a friend of mine, that got a felony conviction when he was younger. And it's a good thing we don't have a bar to being the president with a felony conviction, or we wouldn't have the great president we got. A felony conviction can mean you're the greatest person in the world that got wrongly convicted by felons, or that you're a dangerous person. We don't know. It could be a symbol of honor. In his case, a very good man, he's taking care of his elderly mother. What better man than to take care of your elderly mother? He applied for a license in the state of Tennessee. He was a great salesman to sell RVs and motor homes. Tennessee wouldn't give him a license for that. Had to go to another state. Now, this is a man that's honorable, takes care of his mother. Tennessee won't give him a license because he's got a felony, but they'll give other people a license with a felony that are in the pipeline. So it's not about public danger. It's about public danger against their danger. So, second most burdensome licensing state in America, not protecting the public, protecting the insiders. That's two people that I know of. How many people you know have been denied a license? Maybe even a driver's license. They claim they're dangerous. While troopers out here drunk, dangerous, wrecking all over the place, cops running into each other, maybe they shouldn't have a license. That they don't even put out who's at fault because they have a hard time blaming the member of the public when the public's not involved in their wreck. Even license, driver's license. They deny driver's license to people that can drive safely and give it to police officers who slam into each other and hurt each other seriously. It's not about public safety. It has little to nothing to do with public safety. It's about their pipeline. And they steal your time and money. The ladder they sell you, the ladder they pull away. The system tells you education is a ladder. Get credentialed, do the work, follow the rules. So you do. You spend years and money, application fees, exam fees, background checks, character and fitness hearings, and then they move the goalpost. They credential. You earned in good faith. It's not enough. So go ahead and trust them. Go ahead at your own demise. You may fly under the radar, get a license until you find out something's wrong, maybe deadly to other people, and report it. And then they'll take your license. It's not about public safety. It's exactly the opposite. The time you spent getting all these licenses, going through all this rigmarole, the money you paid them, you're paying the government to license you. Those years are gone. A wealthy, connected applicant never faces the same scrutiny because the scrutiny was never about qualifications. It was about who you know and whether you threaten the people already inside. That's what the licensing is about in the state of Tennessee. I'm the only one you'll probably hear this from. It's the truth. It goes against the message that some churches proclaim from their pulpit, that the government has a right to commit this fraud on you. And they do say that in effect because they're praising the very people, namely Bill Lee, who facilitates this. So you go figure. You go along. Either you're stupid or you're crooked, and I think you're both. And there's people in power saying the same damn thing from the inside out. I'm just saying it from the outside in to the populace of Tennesseans. That time does not come back. The years are gone. A wealthy, connected applicant never faces the same scrutiny because the scrutiny was never about qualifications. It was about who you knew and whether you threatened the people already inside. Well, I'm a threat to the people inside for your safety. They sell you the ladder. They charge you for every rung. Then they pull it away when you reach the top. And they keep your money and your ears. They're thieves. The licensing scheme is a scheme to steal your money and your life and your time and give it to people who don't deserve it, who are dangerous. Nashville School of Law, my school, featured a man, I won't mention his name, from Franklin, Tennessee. That's one of the most wealthy places in the state of Tennessee. Judge Rash is adjudicating here in Tennessee, in Knoxville, on a case involving public corruption. Was taught in my law school. He is a convicted felon. He was convicted in 2015 for a crime in 2012. He's sitting with the dean discussing his path to law school. So he's a convicted felon. They let him in law school. Convicted felon. Now he told him that. Now I told him my life story. I'm not a convicted felon. I've never been convicted of any crime, let alone a crime of dishonesty. I have been convicted wrongly by rogue judges that work for the state who lied about me, who are licensed by the state. I have the same education knowledge, climbed the same ladder, but at the rung where I compete with them, then they started putting me under the ladder because it's rigged. So his story is legitimate. Redemption is real. I'm not attacking that NSL student, but hear this clearly. NSL admitted, a convicted felon to study law. The Tennessee Board of Law Examiners denied me a law license to a law enforcement veteran, not a military veteran, a law enforcement veteran, leading the state in public protection that passed the bar twice, never committed a crime, convicted. Same state, same school, different outcome. Yeah, it's because he protects the power elite. I don't. I protect the public. A convicted felon can pursue a law license in Tennessee. A decorated trooper exposed misconduct. You tell me what the bar is actually measuring. And they'll do that to all of you in all of your professions too, or one of your family members or friends. The rich ruleth over the poor. That's Proverbs 22:7, King James Version. And we're poor because they won't give us a license to practice our profession. They give it to dangerous people. And the church, a lot of them, facilitate that crooked. So now, you know the facts. The licensing scheme is a fraud. It's a lie. So what do you do with that? This is where the show turns. I spent the first hour showing you the system, documented names, cited, not opinion, evidence. Now I'm going to tell you why you fight anyway. And it's not because winning is guaranteed, because it's not. The odds are hard, the system is real. Both things are true, but the system counts on you not fighting. That's the reason why they've been able to maintain it. we can break through the barrier, break through the insulation, and bust the pipeline. It is designed to exhaust you, to make the barriers high enough that most people quit before they become a threat. The moment you start fighting is the moment they win by default. You do not fight because you're guaranteed to win. You fight because silence is the only guaranteed loss, and it's a guaranteed loss. So I'm asking you not to be silent. Make your voices heard at the polls. So the ballot amendments, 3 questions on your ballot in November 3rd. Fight anyway. November 3rd, Tennessee voters will be asked to change the state constitution. 3 amendments. Amendment 1 strips the right to bail for 73 felony crimes. All 73 crimes will not be listed on the ballot. You're being asked to surrender a constitutional right without being told what you are surrendering it for. Cameron Sexton sponsored it. So they have an amendment on the ballot to give the judiciary the authority to deny me and you bail, so we can't get out of jail before trial, before conviction. They're denying us the right to get out of jail for 73 crimes that they don't even tell us what they are. So basically, they're denying us the right. When they accuse us of a crime, they're going to keep us in jail, but they're not going to keep them in jail. They're going to let them do whatever the hell they want to do, which is so very crooked. We don't even know what the crimes are that they're going to keep us in jail for. And they're asking us to sign off on something we don't know nothing about. Yet. But I bet it's not applying to them, because Cameron Sexton can fly down the interstate at a high rate of speed as long as he proclaims that he's on his way to a government hearing, and they made it legal for him to do that. His entourage was stopped by a trooper just a few months ago. Made him mad. So the 73 crimes, you don't even know what they are. They could be for speeding, and they'll keep you in jail because they're changing the Constitution, trying to. Amendment 2 bans a state property tax that has not existed for 75 years. The Tennessee Chamber of Commerce and Farm Bureau are spending money to ban something nobody proposed. So it's a publicity stunt. Follow the money. Amendment 3 is a victims' rights measure. Ask where the rights were for 16 families of AES McEwen workers. The amendment written by people in power to protect the people in power. Your vote is November the 3rd is your answer. So, my case, now I know this up front and personal. My federal case is alive. That's what fighting looks like anyway. I passed the Tennessee bar in 2019, denied. Well, if I was in the clerkship pipeline, I'd been approved. Passed again July 2024, trying again. Denied February 7th, 2025 with a 3-year reapplication bar. I can't even apply for 3 years. They're going to run out the damn clock. Delay, delay, delay. The board's own memorandum opinion acknowledged my First Amendment rights while using my protected speech as grounds for denial. They don't like me pointing out the fraudulent licensing lie that's designed to give the dangerous license and keep you out of work. They don't like me pointing that out. I have a right to say that in this country. They can stand right next to me if they want to and say, no, our licensing are to protect people from dangerous people like Mr. Charles Van Morgan. He's very dangerous. He killed anybody. Haven't hurt anybody. I've protected people. They can say the opposite of what I'm saying. I would not take that right away. They say it every day on the news. They're full of lies. They have a right to lie. They can lie, lie, lie. They even protect themselves from defamation because they get a judge to adjudicate that their lie is the truth. Factually, legally, it's true. Although factually, in reality, the judge is a dirty liar and it's not true. I've got a right to say that too, and that's what I'm saying. I'm telling you, judges write on paper a ruling against you. They will. This is dangerous to you. That is not true. Put it out to the public. They can proclaim that all over the world. If a judge hadn't signed off on a lie, it'd be defamation. They defamed me under the protection of the law and call that all right. I got a right to say that. They don't like my right to say that. But they got a right to lie. So I'm going to tell the truth about them. So they use my speaking the truth that happens to be against them, against me. Does it look like it's working? Second Amendment complaint I filed on, amended complaint I filed on May 13, 2026. It's case number 326CV00020, Eastern District of Tennessee. The AG's office expanded their legal team to fight it. So they got more ships, more drones coming at me. That is not a sign they think they're winning easily. April 26, a joint FTC, DOJ, and U.S. Attorney letter to Tennessee Supreme Court raised structural concerns about Tennessee's bar admission framework. So even people in the government are saying that their very law licensing scheme is about protecting the powerful. It's not right. Based on my documentation that the TBL used my protected speech and federal litigation conduct as negative character, evidence to deny my law license. So because I sued them in federal court, peacefully, safely, exercising my right, not adjudicated as a frivolous lawsuit, they say because I sued them, what they do to other people every day, that I can't have my law license. Now, does that seem a little funny to you? Yeah, and the joke's on all of us, because they're saying, we got a right to sue you, but how dare you sue us? Wow. So, I'm not a very good listener. I believe in the Constitution. I sued them again. I sued them again. When they squeal like a pig, that's where it hurts. Hit them there again. They're telling you it hurts. They're saying, don't hit me here. If it's legal, justified, hit them again. Symbolically, I filed another lawsuit. They ain't teaching me nothing. Squeal some more. I'll find out where it hurts you. I'll hit you there again. Either you're stupid or you're crooked, and they're both. They're both. They didn't learn the lessons that me and you learned growing up without the protection of their political clout. I'll teach them how to really fight and scrap. Keep fighting. So my case, the case is alive. 13 years of fighting anyway. Morgan versus members of the Board of Law Examiners. What you can do practically, real. 4 steps. Show up on November 3rd. All 3 ballot amendments. Read them before you vote. Do not let the machine decide by default. That's what they've been getting by with, a lot of default. Because nobody's telling you the truth. If you don't vote, you may not get licensed for a job. The license they give out may kill you or your friends or family members. You might not get a license. 2, document everything. Every license is board interaction, every denial, every fee. Your documentation is your protection and witness. Record them while they're recording you where it's legal. Document stuff. Make you a chart. This is what they said. This is what happened. And then explain it. The truth in layman's terms. Keep track. 3, support people fighting publicly. Share this broadcast. Every view is a punch thrown, and we're knocking the hell out of them. They're squealing like pigs. Smut, I'm trying to say his name. Attorney General Smut is getting more attorneys to fight me. because I'm throwing a punch, a legitimate legal punch. So subscribe to the channel. Help me beat the hell out of the state symbolically. They're already sees we're coming. And win or lose, we're throwing the punch. You ain't intimidating me out of my constitutional rights. Damn it. If you think I'm preaching, I'll say damn it. This is on, and I'm legal, and they don't even do stuff legal. They lie. And I keep telling the truth because it matters. It has weight and value more than your lies. You can take your power and jump off the damn bridge because you're not pushing me off the bridge. I'm helping God. It teaches in the Bible that the powerful and the wicked will fall in the ditch that they dug for you. I'm helping God. I'm going to help him push those powerful people in the damn ditch with civil litigation against their dumb asses. They're dumb and stupid. Every view is a punch thrown. Every subscriber is a Tennessean who refused to stay quiet. You don't have to stick your head up. I will for you. Know your rights. North Carolina Dental versus FTC 2015 is the law of the land. Licensing board controlled by market insiders without state supervision have no antitrust immunity. Sue the hell out of them. This is a tool. Use it. You can sue pro se if you can't get a lawyer. You do not need a law degree to fight. You need documentation and a willingness to show up. The unseen math does not measure everything. Now, I'm going to be brutally honest. I look at the real odds, my 2022 numbers, the structural advantage against the independent candidate, the embodied network of judges and boards and donors and clerkships. The math is hard. I'm not going to lie to you about the math. It's a hard road ahead. We may lose, but the victory is in the throwing the punch. It matters. The math does not measure the human spirit. It does not measure what God does with people who refuse to quit. It does not calculate which morning the right person watches the broadcast and everything changes, and it might be you. So I walk to this bridge almost every day. Not because winning is guaranteed, because it is right. And they don't know nothing about that. I do. It won't go away. Because somebody has to say it out loud. Because silence is the one thing I will not give them. The odds are real, so is the unseen. I hold both. That is not weakness, that is wisdom. Fight anyway. The Bible says in Luke 12:2, for there is nothing covered that shall not be revealed. Their wickedness is coming out. It's coming out. It's showing its ugly head. And we're going to demolish them. So, about 2 hours this morning, this is real and documented. The Supreme Court said so. The research said so. The 16 families of A.S. McEwen workers know it. I know it personally after 13 years. And we fight anyway, because that's what people of conviction do when the odds are hard and the cause is right. This morning, I told you something you need to hear. Share it. Subscribe it. Subscribe to Unbridled News. If you want somebody speaking and possibly somebody in power who can't be bought, then show up on November 3rd, donate to Antidote, and God bless you, and God bless America. I'm going to show you about the licensing that I went through and the political person that called them crooks and liars. So here is Dean Koch at the Nashville School of Law. And this man, he says, I'm on the other side of the law. I'm a convicted felon. I was convicted in 2015. So he's sitting right beside Judge Koch. Now, I went to that same law school. I was not convicted of a crime. I can't get my law license. And this man got into law school, and Judge Koch is sitting right beside him. honoring the fact, because of me, that he's a convicted felon, that they accept people who are repentant. But I have nothing to repent of, and they won't license me. But it's not about being a convicted felon. It's not about being a danger to the public, and I'm not saying he is. It's about protecting him and getting under the people in power. Dope Coke will not go to the Board of Law Examiners to help me get my law license. But he sits beside this man to try to act like they're fair. That's not fair. Joseph C.J. Loser Jr. helped people that the law licensing board, for whatever reason, didn't want to license. Mr. Coke will help people that honor him. That's his legacy. That's what I say, and he can say whatever he wants to. He said, I'm Bill Coke, and I'm the president and dean of the Nashville School of Law. And we'll just go around the table. So he's sitting right beside this man. And he mentions his name. I'm not going to say his name. And he says, I'm from Franklin, Tennessee, and I fell in love with law. When I was actually on the other side of the law, I'm a convicted felon, was convicted in 2015 for a crime I did in 2012. And I had an attorney that did my defense work for it, so that led me to know. Met with our own governor, and they overwhelmingly said, go to Nashville School of Law. So this man, a convicted felon, met with the governor. Convicted felon, met with the governor. Now he is repentant. I committed a felony, I'm sorry. I'm honest now, please license me. Honoring them, I'm gonna be honest now, and what he's really saying is, I'm going to help you all. I'm gonna help you all, not be honest, I don't think. Now he may be honest now, but me saying that I'm going to help the mass populace of the state of Tennessee, I've never committed a felony, let alone one of dishonesty. And I will stand against the governor and his entourage when they endanger the public, like I'll speak about his licensing NES. That's what the denial of license is about. It's not about being a convicted felon. That doesn't matter. What matters, if you didn't commit a felony, if you worship them in their public danger. You can commit a felony and be possibly dangerous to society and still get your damn license, as long as you don't criticize the pipeline. Now let's get this straight. You think I'm fooled? I don't think so. So Mr. Frank Clement also advertises for that Nashville School of Law, graduated from there. His daddy is the former governor of the state of Tennessee. Of course he's in the pipeline. I passed the same damn bar he did. He's daddy's boy, coddled by daddy. And I'm coddled by God. And I pray to God for justice and judgment, and I think I'll get it. I've already seen some of the people who did this wickedness to me in denying somebody a license that they stole from me to protect Tennesseans are dead right now at a relatively young age. I'm just saying, keep on persecuting the poor and the church too, some of the churches, at your own demise. God is real. He's a father of the fatherless, more powerful than the governor's boy or the governor. Let me assure you, he ruled against me wrongly. He's a dirtbag thug judge. Now, he don't like me saying that, but he can lie about me in court papers. So why can't I tell the truth about him in public? Well, they tell me not to. He's squealing like a pig. Yeah, Daddy, help me, Daddy. Yeah, his dad was a drunk. Just because these people in power, church, don't mean they're good people. It means they're in power giving out licenses to people that shouldn't. If you preach the gospel of Jesus Christ, you help the poor and the needy and the sick and afflicted. You don't get into politics and praise only the dangerous pipeline, people in the pipeline like him. So let's look at, I'm not the only one saying this, I'm saying it from the outside in. They're saying this from the inside out. But first, let's look at Mr. Bill Gibbons, licensed attorney, good man, good for public safety. He was on this is Tony Crother, State of Tennessee, his appeal. Mr. Bill Gibbons down here at the bottom, William L. Gibbons, was the prosecutor prosecuting William L. Gibbons, the prosecutor prosecuting Mr. Crothers, Tony Crothers, William L. Gibbons, prosecutor, district attorney. So he got his law license, and they didn't even test evidence. The prosecutor is supposed to be out for the public safety to not violate Brady rules. He lied in my case. I know he lies. That's who they give a license to. Dean Cope, give a license to him. He don't like me campaigning, passing out flyers about government crooks, but he advertises for them. He campaigns for them, stands with Supreme Court justices, but he don't like me standing in America exercising a constitutional right, speaking against them. If you speak against them truthfully with facts and evidence, they'll deny you to make a living and give it to convicted felons. So it's not about danger. It's about protecting their danger to you. So let's look at what somebody powerful in office said. And I'll tell you who it is. So, the people were destroyed by dirty cops and by weaponization. This is somebody in power. That's what I'm saying. And people say, oh, you're rogue, you're mean. Somebody in power in high office said, the people were destroyed by dirty cops and by weaponization. I'm saying the same thing. Many of those people should be compensated. I should be confiscated. You should be confiscated for the crooked licensing scheme. Now, with that being said, as I understood it, the weaponization was going to set up a group of people that could be picked by anybody, fair people, smart people, and they will go on an individual case basis. So there should be a compensation fund for people that the government has used the government power in the licensing scheme, weaponizing against you. That's what we can do. If I ever get in power, we'll have a compensation fund for people who have been denied licenses unjustifiable. The licensing scheme has been weaponized. How about that? Not only put these people in jail that are getting licenses, killing people, the people that are denied license, that are safe to society, we'll give them a compensation for what they had to go through by their denied license. This is somebody in power saying this. I'll tell you what it is. I'm paraphrasing it. But this isn't a rogue, novel ideal. This is mainstream in some people in the government. Not with the press. Not with a lot of churches. Not with the installation of the pipeline. Now, I don't know what's going to happen with a weaponization fund. I love the ideal because people like you, the fake dirty press, the crooked press, people like Stupid, and he mentions the name, not smart enough to know what's going on, but people that surround him, surrounded the offices, what they did to the lives of people. They destroy people. They sent people to jail who do nothing wrong. That's what I'm saying about the licensing scheme. All right, this will be very clear. This is what the news says. This is what the media says. This is what Governor Bill Lay says to me. There is no evidence of what you're saying. That's what they're saying to me. There's no evidence that the licensing scheme is a lie. There's no evidence that licensing isn't to protect the public, and it does just that. There's no evidence. Yeah, there is. I just told you. An hour. So they say that I'm a nut job. Somebody in power just said that. And that's what the news is saying. They're the nut jobs. And here's my response to them. And it's happening right now. It's happening right now, the licensing scheme, the fraud. That's what they said. That's what I'm saying. The news media and the people in power say, you never presented evidence. Yeah, I did. I just presented a whole hour. We could go look at the grotesque, the bodies, and the governor coming to run interference. There is evidence. They had a license. I don't. I'm not dangerous. They are. They were given a license. I'm not. You presented no evidence. Yeah, I did. So, here's what I'm saying. They're dropping fast because it's rigged elections. Let me tell you. So, they rig elections. They rig elections. He's saying they rig elections. I said that here in Knoxville. In Knoxville, I said it. And another candidate, a fat candidate, a lazy, fat, smoking candidate, worthless, that I tried to help because she believed in some of the main principles that I believed in. After they frauded me out of it, I believe in the good for the mass populace of Tennesseans. She never knocked the door. She had people out from campaign donations paying them, not her money, other people's money, to knock on doors for her lazy, smoking, fat butt. And I said the elections were rigged. This person's saying they're rigged too, and they are. They're rigged. They're rigged in Knoxville. Elections are rigged. I say, you presented no evidence. Yeah, I did. Yeah, I have. They say I got 40-something votes. I know more people that voted for me than 40. It was rigged. It's a lie. Knoxville elections are a dirty damn lie. Part of it was rigged by the news media. That's what this person in power is saying. I'm paraphrasing what they're saying the same damn thing. I'm not the only one. They're dropping fast because it's rigged election. So they aren't even close to coming to what I got votes on. That's how they count votes. They don't count all of them, evidently. Now, that fat woman put a little laughing face on my post where I said there's rigged elections. Well, somebody high in power thinks they're rigged too, and I do too. Do you know why they're doing that? Because they're cheating on the election. They're cheating on the election in Knoxville, and the people put a smiley face, make fun of me. I'm not the only one saying that. I'm not the only one saying that elections are rigged. If you look at the beautiful view, people in great power are saying the same damn thing. Do you have evidence to support that? It's what the news media, and she's laughing. Do you have evidence to support the elections rigged? Yeah, I do. I know more than the number of people who they counted that voted for me. That's a lie. And also the press lied about me, putting me in a bad light. The judiciary lied about me, putting me in a bad light. It's rigged as hell. I'm for safety, they're for danger. And she's crooked or stupid in both. They say, what? Do you have evidence to support that? All I have to do is look. All I have to do is look. All you have to do is look. I should be on the city council in Knoxville right now, protecting Tennesseans, opening up roads, protecting little children. I could lower the crime rate, have an extensive education experience in doing just that. But you got people told me that because I know what I'm doing and other people don't have any training, that they're better than me. It's good to be stupid. That's what they said. We voted for this candidate. What they voted for the candidate for was reverse racism because of his color. It had nothing to do with knowing how to protect mass populations. I had a voter who was over a large organization that helped this person get elected, literally tell me that because I was qualified, was educated, knew things, that did not matter because the person they voted for was not qualified, not educated. Therefore, they were better to win an election than me. So you tell me, either they're stupid or crooked. They're both. So, do you know why they're doing that? Because they're cheating on the election. Do you have evidence to support that? All you have to do is look. This is somebody else saying this in power, not me, but I'm repeating it, telling you, amplifying what they're saying from a public office to you. I'm saying it from the street, trying to get in public office, trying to get a message out to you. It's coming both ways. Listen. So the government and the news said, but that's not evidence. My evidence is not evidence. 16 graves is evidence. It is very real evidence. Sad evidence. Sad it has to go that far. Let's not let it go any further. And I listen to people, and let's see what happens. But sir, that's not evidence. And that's how they count votes. That's not how they count all the votes, but that's how they do it. Yeah, it is. That's why we're in such a mess. You think it's appropriate that they have an election and 5 days later they're nowhere close to picking a winner? It's because they're figuring out how to rig it. State and local officials acknowledge they are slow. They're urging, yeah, we acknowledge, explain away. So I say, no, they're crooked. They're acknowledging that they're crooked, trying to explain away. No, they're crooked. That's what I say. Somebody in power saying that. They're urging the votes to be counted quickly. That's how they vote. That's what they're saying. No, they're trying to get it done right. No, they're not. They're crooked, just like you're crooked. Just like the people in power are crooked. I'm not just saying that. Somebody in power is saying that down to you, all of you. I'm on here on the street, speaking it up to you. You got to get the message. I'm not the only one saying it. I'm not the only person doing this. They're crooked. That's what I say to them. This is what this person said to them. They're crooked, just like you're crooked. Your press is crooked. The Knoxville press is crooked as hell. And the press is crooked. Very crooked. They rig elections in their favor. And they say, to be fair, I'm not crooked, but let's continue. At some point in time, hell no, the dialogue's got to end. I'm not listening to your lies. To be fair, to be unfair is what they should say. Let's continue with our crooked dialogue. Hell no. Really, well, you play right into their hands then. They play right into their hands. Are you playing into their hands? I'm saying they're crooked. Somebody else in power saying they're crooked. I'll tell you who in a minute. Just listen. And if you don't listen, you're playing right into their hands. You're playing right into Governor Bill Lee's hands. So the news says, let's continue with our crooked. That's what they're saying. They say, let's continue. And this is what I say, and this is what somebody in power said. You're either crooked or you're stupid. And I've been saying that for about 2 hours now. I'm reading verbatim from the exact words of somebody in power that said this. You're hearing it from the top down and from the bottom up from me. You're either crooked or you're stupid. And if you're in Tennessee and you believe their lies, you're either crooked or you're stupid. If you're in the church and you say you're not involved in politics in some churches, you're either crooked or you're stupid. So they say, let's continue. They want to continue what they got. Keep giving licenses to dangerous, denying it to you, the mass populace Tennesseans, even to people in your church. They can't even make a living because you're backing up Mr. Bill Lee. So I'll say it again. You're either crooked or you're stupid. I didn't make that up. Somebody else did. I like it. You play right into their hands with this stuff. You know that these elections are rigged. Your network knows they're rigged. I won an election. I should have won. And I get bad press. And that's why I lost, according to their vote. You know why I get bad press? Because I'm denied law license. And you will too, not because I'm bad for not safe for the public, which is what law licenses should deny people that are dangerous to the public. It's because I'm dangerous to them, pointing out they're dangerous to you. You know why I got that? Because I'm dangerous to the dangerous pipeline. You never presented evidence. Yeah, I did. And they have no credibility. People in power have no credibility. People in the press have no credibility. Now, they allege that I have conspiracy theories, that I'm an extremist. They have no credibility. I do. I have a lot of credibility. I have the credibility of their own bar passage twice. I have the credibility of life saved. They keep saying, but you never presented evidence it was rigged. I signed my name to federal court papers with their own words against them. They, America, world, Tennessee, Mr. Governor Bill Lee, under a Christian flag, is denying me my law license because I don't like him. And I don't like him because he's dangerous to the mass populace of Tennesseans, giving licenses to people that will kill you. And I'm allowed to say that, and because I say that and things like that, they deny me the ability to make a living. That's the truth. I have presented evidence. But you never presented evidence. Yeah, I did. I presented evidence in federal court, signed it under penalty of perjury. But let's talk about something else. They try to change the story. You have more evidence. There's more evidence than you ever presented. They have evidence. They don't present it. So let's talk about, and they change the story. I want to talk about something else. And I say, your elections in this country, and this person in power said that. And the press says you went to court. Yeah, courts get it wrong sometimes. They do. We're like a third world country. Americans, Tennesseans, we're like a third world country. I'm repeating that statement from somebody in power that already said that. I'm not a lunatic or advancing a conspiracy theory. I'm telling you the truth. Mr. Bill Lee's a liar. He showed up at Bucksnort to run interference, to protect his legacy. You don't like me attacking it. Well, you can lump it. It's the Constitution. Your elections are crooked and you're crooked, and the press is crooked. I'm repeating what somebody else said. But Van, I say, but Van. And I say, and so is ABC, CBS, CNN. They're crooked as hell. But Van, you're a one-sided, crooked network. And then let's call it quits. I've had enough. Thank you, darling news press. Have a good time, Channel 8, you thugs. But Van, please, I travel all the way to talk to you. They'll say that after we're in power. I'll sit in the rain with you. Sounds like a song, doesn't it? I waited in the rain and you never showed up. I traveled. I went all the way through law school. They stole my time. Talk about stealing time. Yeah, I know about that. I sat in the rain for hours. Yeah, I know that song. Same old song and dance. And off and on in the rain, I've given you enough time. You ought to straighten out. Because you know what? We're given enough time. They ought to straighten out. They're not going to straighten out. A country can never be great with a dishonest government and press. We traveled for this interview. Yeah, after I'm in power, they'll say that. Now that was President Donald J. Trump speaking to Christine Walker. Christine Walker will meet the press, telling you from the top down, elections are crooked. The press is crooked. I should be winning elections. I just repeated to you what Donald J. Trump said, speaking to the press. It's not conspiracy. It's mainstream. And some of the people in power, listen to what I'm saying. Elections are rigged. The president said it. I'm repeating what he said. The news media is biased. They decide elections. Mass populace of Tennesseans, you listen to the president, listen to me. The licensing scheme is a fraud that protects the dangerous because they protect them and endanger and injure you and your family members and take licenses away from you. Thank you very much for listening today. May God bless you all. And we'll try to be back on here this week again. I hope you enjoyed the show. Like, share, and subscribe, and contribute. And God loves you, and I love you too.